It's the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast, your source for anything and everything indie horror. Here's your host, Otis B. Dreads. It is 8 o'clock and we lost Rick. It's 8 o'clock. Do you know where your indie horror is? It is right here. The Indie Horror Junkie Podcast. Rotting Ricky D will be he'll be back with us. I don't know what happened. As soon as we start. Oh, what a way to start. Here he comes.
Unbelievable. I love technology. I really do.
That was great. Well, welcome back.
Thank you. Wow.
Megacon dysfunction, Miss Asylum Amy says. Welcome. We have a great show tonight. We're not going to take long, with a bunch of babble in the beginning. Of course, all the links at the bottom, the YouTube. Go over there, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you can get notified of great shows like this. Our Gmail, if you have a project and you want to get it in the magazine, you want some promotion, you want to come on the podcast here, it's right down there. Gmail it up, buddy. Gmail it up. And of course, you can get all the latest issues of the Indie Horror Junkie magazine. Next one coming out March 13th. I got that right? Okay.
Yes,
March
you did.
13th. And you can download the digital versions over there at indiehorrorjunkie.com. And let's see. I know we are going to, after our guest, the lovely, legendary Scream Queen, Miss Brinke Stevens, is going to join us for about 30, 40 minutes or so, give or take. But after that, we're going to do a little recap of the Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival. It was a great time, Rick.
Oh,
you
yeah.
put together a nice little video, and it's good. It was a good time. If you got to come out there, awesome. If you didn't, you missed out. That's all.
Yeah, we're going to basically, once we get done with Brink, we'll catch everybody up on what they missed out on this weekend, remind people of what a great time they had when they were there, if they were there, and kind of show them a little video that I put together that has some pictures and video and stuff of basically what we did. But we'll save all that for after our time here with Brink. So if you want, let's give also the trailer you're about to show, which is called Side Effects May Vary. We actually screened that film at the Indie Horror Junkie Film Fest this past weekend, and it was nominated for the Best of the Fest award. So it was a very, very cool little flick that if you weren't there, you missed it. But here you can see the trailer.
All right, we'll be right back with Brink.
There is a new vaccine. It's called Alpha 21. Unlike earlier versions, it doesn't have any side effects.
And it's safe?
So they say. He just exploded.
Who exploded? What are you talking about?
And with the death toll now reaching nearly 500,000, the FDA is urging all citizens to wear safety masks if going outside, and strongly suggesting those who have not received the vaccine to do so.
I don't think Mr. Farragut's going to be meeting his booster shot scheduled. It's looking like we have a spree killer on the loose. He's using some kind of acid and burning people with it.
Why is this happening?
Side effects may vary. Welcome, Brink. That's your latest project that you have going on right now, and it's very relatable, I guess.
Yes, very topical. After the terrible COVID that we all endured, but it's J.R. Bookwalter's most recent movie. He hadn't done any in a long time, and he kind of brought the old gang back together. So it was really fun. I play a widow who has this weird obsession with my neighbors' sex lives. And I just, the things that come out of my mouth and the enormous dildos that I hold in one scene, people who see this in the theater are like, I can't believe you did a role like that. And it is very different from anything I've played before, but it was so much fun.
Well, like you said in the movie, why should they have all the fun, right?
Exactly. And they're going to be showing it at Cinema Wasteland in or early April. I'll be there. It's kind of an 80s revival weekend with Fred Olin Ray, Jim Wynorski, Michelle Bauer, and myself. So that should be a lot of fun. And then on Saturday night, they'll show Side Effects.
Awesome. You man, you have you've had a career that just spans decades, and the fact that you were telling us right before we went on, I mean, you got festivals coming up, cons, and I mean, you're still going. I mean,
Yeah.
what keeps you wanting to keep doing movies like Side Effects May Vary? Well, the Slumber Party Massacre. It's a 1982 classic.
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
Well, obviously because I love what I do. It's
Right.
just so much fun. Every movie that I do is some other weird, wonderful thing where I either die horribly or I kill someone who desperately deserves it. And then the other reason I do it is because there's no pension plan for B movie screen cleans. So I can't afford to retire. I have to keep working. And what would I do? You know, it's just really fun to when people say, "Oh, I want you in my movie." I don't have to audition anymore. They write to me and say, "Oh, you know, play this role and you get to kill 7 people." And I'm like, "Sure."
Well, why
Nice.
not?
And I brought you down. Obviously, the first time I ever met you was way back in the day. What was it? 2001, I think it was, wasn't it? For
Yeah,
Web of Darkness.
that was a long time ago and with Tom Savini.
You got to play a hooker, and we killed you off pretty nicely. I thought the effect that picture still gets me every time with the steak coming out of your chest. I think we did good work for way back in the day.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then you and I worked together on Nightmare Collection too.
That's right. I didn't kill you in that one, though.
No, I know. I don't have to die. I always like it when I stay alive till the end of the movie.
There you go. There you go. So tell us what you got going on and what you got coming up. What's your next project you got coming up?
Oh, I've got 2 movies lined up, one in February and one in March. And in February, Michelle Bauer plays my sister, which I think is wonderful because we do bear a certain resemblance. I mean, she's a lot taller than I am. I'll have to wear high heels when I'm standing next to her. But we're 2 sisters on a trip, and we get a flat tire. So we walk to this creepy old house to seek help. And you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't all survive. And then the one in March is called The Witch's Curse. And it's the plot involves a contest of 7 teenagers who spend the night in a haunted house, and whoever's still there in the morning that hasn't chickened out gets a prize. And I'm kind of the horror hostess that walks them through the house. But we find out that I have a really dark, sinister side, and these contestants are not meant to leave in the morning.
Ah, nice.
And then I've got a bunch of conventions. Last year alone, I had 15 trips.
Oh, wow.
4 of which were movies. I didn't do nearly as many films last year because of the SAG strike. And even though I don't do any big budget SAG movies, a lot of the independent films just didn't want to deal with the hassle. And so there wasn't a lot of production last year in general. But I usually do about 10 movies a year. And I had 15 trips last year. And this year I've already got conventions, Cinema Wasteland in April, Colorado 6 Feet Under Film Festival in April, FrankenCon in Knoxville, Tennessee in May, and another show, the Little Con of Horror in
Oh, I like that name.
Council Bluffs, Iowa in September. So it's, you know, it's just fun. It keeps going.
That's awesome.
And the best thing too, in Colorado Springs, and I think at FrankenCon, I'm going to be with Michelle and Linnea. So it'll be the 3 of us. And I just love how people still recognize us as the OG Scream Queens. And it makes me so happy that 40 years later, we're all still together and popular.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've been good friends with Linnea for some time, haven't you? That's what I've read anyway.
Yeah, we're all close, and it's just really nice, you know, when you get along with people in the business. And I'm excited to see Fred Olen Ray and Jim Wynorski. Again at Cinema Wasteland.
Now I was over on your IMDb and they had a little list of trivia for you. And one says that your movie Haunting Fear you claim is your finest dramatic performance and has named it your favorite of all your films.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Why Haunting Fear? What was it about that makes it your favorite?
At the time, that was the biggest role that I'd really had. And I had done a lot of movies for Fred Ray. And he handed me the script and said, read it and tell me what you think. So I read the script and I gave him a critique on the script. And he said, no, I don't want a critique on the script. I want to know what you thought about being in it. And I thought he wanted me to do the sexy secretary. But it turned out he wanted me as the wife whose husband is gaslighting her and trying to drive her crazy. So it was a huge role. I got to work with Karen Black, Jan Michael Vincent, Robert Quarry, and I was still alive at the end of the movie. So there's a lot to like there. But what I find, other people tell me their favorite movie I've been in was Slumber Party Massacre, which was my first real feature film. I'd done some student films before that, and it's still the movie I'm best known for. My first movie is still the one I'm associated with the most. And we just had the 40-year anniversary of that film. So I've been doing a lot of film festivals. I did one in Chicago last year, Kansas City, Missouri, Los Angeles, different places where they show the movie. I introduce it, and then I do a 20-minute Q&A afterward for the audience. And the theaters are packed. Every seat is sold. And it's just amazing to me that these kids that are going to these film festivals were not even born yet when this movie was made, but they still laugh in all the right places and gasp and get scared. And it hasn't dated itself enough. You know, it was in the slasher genre of the 80s, but it's still very watchable. So that's a credit to our female director, Amy Jones, that she made such a wonderful movie that it's still in demand.
That's all. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for movies, I think, to stay so relevant. Like it was just made. In the '80s, I think, where it was a great time period that developed a lot of those movies you can watch. I mean, that's one of the genres one of my go-to genres. The '80s and the '70s. There's a lot of good movies I like from the '70s. But yeah, that's the '80s. It's hard to beat '80s slasher horror.
And that was my decade. That was when I really did Slumber Party, Nightmare Sisters, Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity, Sorority Babes. And then there was an '80s revival. So I got to ride that wave. And I directed Sorority Babes 2, which was made to look '80s. It starts out with this aerobicized thing at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And that was my first feature film that I had directed, but it was really fun. And Billy Butler was my producer on that, and he created a wonderful look for the film. It was just so '80s.
Well, what's some other projects? Are you directing now, or are you just strictly acting as of now?
No, I directed that. We shot it in 2022, and it came out last year. And I also directed Personal Demons, which I wrote and starred in. And that's a 36-minute short that is out now on the Terror Toons 4 anthology by Joe Castro and Steven Escobar. So I'm real proud of that. And that's been playing around at film festivals as well. And I've got quite a lot of awards for that. So I'm really excited that it's finally out on DVD and people can see it.
Yeah, Terror Toons 4 was one that I was going to bring up too. We've had Joe on the show here, and I've talked to him on my podcast a while back before started with Indie Horror Junkie. Great guy, him and Steve both great guys, and what a talented guy he is.
He's brilliant. He's a genius at it, and I don't think he's as fully appreciated as he should be. He works so hard, and I always love working with him. I've done a number of projects with them.
Yeah, I see him post his work a lot, and it's jaw-dropping some of the stuff you see. One of these other quick facts that I have here, this caught my eye. You were ranked number 18 on Celebrity Sleuths magazine list of 50 best celebrity butts of all time.
Yes, I have an award-winning butt.
I've
That's
seen it,
impressive.
so I know.
Okay, that's impressive.
And legs. I've won awards for best legs in these. I think it was Screen Queens Illustrated. You know, and just speaking of those things, Celebrity Sleuth and all that, that was such a product of the 80s and 90s. Femme Fatale, Screen Queens Illustrated, Sirens of Cinema. And it was just really fun. It was a great decade. And I love the horror comedy aspects of movies back then, like
Yeah.
Nightmare Sisters and things like that. You know, I'm not real big on the gore factor, but I love horror comedy.
Yeah, what's one of the let's say what's an indie movie or just a horror comedy in general here of late that you really took a liking to? Maybe something a little newer that's come out. Have you seen anything recently that?
Yeah, I watch everything. I like Jordan Peele stuff, but what I find myself watching over and over again is Cabin in the Woods and things
Oh
like
yeah,
where it's so brilliant,
I
you know?
love that movie.
Yeah, yeah. And then in the 70s, there was The Haunting of Hill House with Roddy McDowall and Clive Rebel and Pamela Franklin. And I love that movie. And Fred Olen Ray did a movie called Spirits, which kind of was a riff on that. I would have been playing the Pamela Franklin role as the psychic, but love The Haunting of Hill House.
From between directing and acting and producing and all the other hats that you wear, what's your favorite? What would you like to do more often than not? The acting, the directing, what side of the camera you like?
I loved directing, and I would do it again if I was asked. But it's very, very hard, especially, and you know, Rick, you're a wonderful director. But
Oh,
when you've only got so much time and money, it's
yeah.
really hard, and it's long hours. We had no less than 12-hour days. When the day was 16 hours, and it's very hard to get a good performance out of your actors at 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's the constraints, but I feel that despite the constraints, I did a good job as a director my first time, and I take a win on it. And the reviews of it were fairly kind to me.
Oh, nice. I was going to say, since obviously with Indie Horror Junkie here, we focus primarily or pretty much solely on the indie horror films. You've had your opportunities to work in the studio system, and you've had your opportunities to work with the indies like myself. What could you say, as far as the indie filmmakers that you've worked with, what could you say is the biggest difference or the biggest thing that you liked about the indie film scene or the indie film productions as opposed to the straight-laced studio productions?
I like the indie films because they seem to be more imaginative. Anything goes, and you're not restrained by a board of directors that are concerned about how you're going to spend $300 million.
Right.
You know, the indie films, you can do anything you want. And I love that about them. I also like that they move so fast. You know, the cameras, the lighting packages are so much smaller, and you can just zip through it. I was in a movie called Star 80. I was a background extra. Bob Fosse directed it, the great Bob Fosse. And we shot one scene that day, and it took 9 hours. And we didn't even get the reverse of that. I mean, he was like, oh, I see a reflection on that wall. I can't shoot until that reflection is gone. You know, things like that. We're just like, get on with it. But I've had a lot of fun on the big budget ones too. Like I was in Three Amigos. I'm in the black and white movie within a movie. So I got to work with Chevy Chase and Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Nice.
John Landis was crazy. He was the director. And then I worked on Spinal Tap for a week.
Oh, yeah.
I worked with Rob Reiner and all the boys. That was amazing. And I worked with Anthony Perkins on Psycho 3. I was Diana Scarwood's body double. And I'm the scene where he's watching through a hole in the wall, and she takes her clothes off and goes into the bathroom to commit suicide. And she would have done it, but she was in New York at the time doing a play, The Burning Bed. And so they needed someone who looked physically like her. And I remember I went to, I think it was Universal Studios, into Tony Perkins' office. And he said, I'm so sorry to have to ask you to do this. You did wear a bathing suit, right? Yeah. Could you take your clothes off? So I stood in front of Anthony Perkins in a bathing suit, and he's like, turn around. Yeah, I turned around, and he's like, you're perfect. I'm like, thank you.
Nice.
I also worked with Brian De Palma on Body Double.
Body Double.
And that was neat. He was in an Airstream trailer on a studio lot. So I went in, and the first thing I said was, I love Phantom of the Paradise. That's one of my favorite movies. And he's like, you're the one. It wasn't real popular. And then I'm like, oh, no, it's a cult classic. So
It is.
we talked for half an hour. And De Palma said, I really like you. I just don't know what to do with you. I don't really have a part in mind for you. But he said, tell you what, show up on Monday and I'll find something. So he did. And I'm all throughout the movie, mostly in the Frankie Goes to Hollywood music video number. And I'm with Craig Wasson and Melanie Griffith in that scene. So it was fun. I just love all these things.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was just, mentally in awe listening to the Anthony Perkins story, because the Psycho franchise is one of my favorites. There's not a bad movie in that franchise. And now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this because I got a little backstory. And Psycho 3.
Yeah, Psycho 3.
That's and that's actually one of my favorite ones too. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch that tonight. I got them all out there.
Tell you, when he's looking through the peephole, and my dress falls, and you see my bare butt, and my
award-winning butt.
Yeah, my award-winning butt. When the movie came out, my next door neighbor said, "Is that you in Psycho 3?" And I said, yeah. And he said, I would recognize that butt anywhere.
Wow.
Speaking of which, our very own Asylum Amy Rolfson says, I'm gonna need your butt workout routine.
Yeah. Well,
Amy's in need of an award-winning butt, I guess.
Yeah. I walk 3 miles every morning around a lake near my house, and that's a lot of it, hiking, walking. And when I walk, I study my lines. So people see me walking around just like talking to myself, and I pretend that I'm talking on a phone. I wear a little thing so they don't think I'm just crazy. But it's the best way is to exercise and learn my lines at the same time.
Very cool.
I got a question about the Spider Baby remake that you did, because I love the original. Lon Chaney. I mean that was such a Sid Haig, I believe, was in that way. Such a weird movie, but I loved it. How did this remake come about? I mean, for one, I had just found out about it when I started, looking more into the movies you did. And I was like, wait, Spider Baby, hold on. That was a black and white movie. What's going on here? And I seen 2024. So talk to me a little bit about Spider Baby.
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up. That was such a fun project to be involved with. Dustin Ferguson was the director on it. And I've done many, many movies with him. He's so much fun to work with. He shoots really fast. And he often gives me these really wonderful roles. So Spider Baby, he wanted to remake it, and he got permission. And Jack Hill, the original producer, was involved. And he created a role for me. I play the mother at the very beginning. And this did not exist in the original film. You never saw the mother. But there's something definitely wrong with these kids. And the addition of my scene talking to the doctor, which was Lon Chaney Jr., Ron Chaney Jr. Sorry.
Ron Chaney, yeah.
Yeah. It makes more sense now. You see that the mother is kind of nuts, and that's where the kids get it from.
Right.
So I asked Dustin, how do you want me to dress to play this part? And he said, grandmother's house. which instantly I knew what he wanted, because Grandmother's House is one of my favorite movies I've done, where I hardly have any lines, but it's very evocative. I play a woman who's escaped from a mental institution, and I'm trying to be reunited with my children. And it's just kind of really creepy and fun. So that was how I played it. That was my inspiration.
That's awesome. Now, where can we watch this anywhere? Is this out? Streaming services?
I'm not sure. If it's not out yet, it will be soon. And
Okay.
they did two versions. They did a color version and a black and white. And I was amazed when I saw the black and white version. It looks like it's from that time period, the
Right.
late 60s. It's absolutely beautiful. The lighting, and it's a whole different feel to it than the color version. It's amazing how that works out, that.
I've always thought the same, that it seems like some black and white movies are a little more atmospheric than a color, movie. That is strange how that works, but I don't know. Maybe that's why I like the old Universal pictures. I got a CD set of about 50 movies from the late 20s, early 30s, all the way up to like the 40s and 50s. I'm a sucker for the black and white films. I think they do. It's a different feel to it. I have to agree with
Yeah.
you.
Well, I loved watching all the old Universal monster movies and things, and the sets that they would use, and the lighting on the black and white movies and things, and the laboratories and stuff like that. That was a good thing to grow up with.
Yeah, speaking of that, I know on the Dracula DVD for Universal Monsters, I don't know if you know this, but on the DVD they also have another version, which is the Spanish version, and supposedly they shot that during the same time while they were there in the shoots. It's like they'd shoot the regular Dracula during the day, then at night they would fly in these people and use the same sets and everything to save money and film that Spanish version in the evenings. And a lot of people say the Spanish version is actually better than the
I've
Bela
heard-
Lugosi version.
I have not seen the Spanish version, but weirdly, my manager was given a script about the making of the Spanish version, and they were interested in me playing the lead. Tovar, what was her first name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, Tovar was her last name, and I said, but I'm not Hispanic, and they're like, doesn't matter. But I mean, it's kind of a sensitive thing now, where
Yeah.
like
Right.
there was this big controversy about the Leonard Bernstein thing, the fake nose, and all that. And
Oh, yeah. I got what you're saying, but I still would love to see something like that because I've heard so many stories about that, but you've never really seen a documentary or a movie about that. I bet that would be a great story.
yeah, I really wanted to do it once it didn't matter that I wasn't Hispanic. But I guess it fell through. They couldn't get the financing they wanted for it, but it would have been fun to do.
Oh, absolutely. So also, you do audiobooks as well now. How long have you been doing that? How many have you got going so far?
Over 10 years I've been doing it, and a dozen probably. Glenn Porzig had written a number of books, and when the audio craze was just starting like 10 years ago, he said, do an audiobook. So I bought a microphone and recorded his book, and we sent it to Audible, and they rejected me. And it turned out it was too much background noise. So I had to learn then how to edit and do all these filters and different things, and do all the work myself on it, because you can't afford to hire someone else to do it. The pay's not that great. But I did a number of books for him, maybe a half dozen. And Dana Fredsty, I did a book for her, and just a number of different things, radio plays and stuff like that. And then I've also worked with Netflix, and I can't really talk about it because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, but I do audio descriptions for the blind.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and somebody watched one of the ones I had done recently. It was called Don't F with Cats. It was a 3-hour documentary. And I don't know why he turned on the audio description. He's not deaf, or blind rather, but he said, was that you? It sounded like your voice. And I'm like, yeah, it was.
How
So
cool is that?
kind of my side job.
That's pretty cool. I've often thought about doing that myself, but I'm not so much of an audio book kind of guy. I don't know. That seems, I don't know. I'd rather do voiceovers in indie films,
Hmm.
which I have done a handful of them, but
Oh, I had a
so
fun job last year. It was called Smart House, and it was an Alexa kind of thing where the house traps this woman inside and is trying to get her to commit suicide because someone has tampered with the program.
Hmm.
And so I'm doing this Alexa kind of voice. My name is Cassandra, and it was fun. I got to record it in my own studio, which upstairs, and I loved it. I loved doing that.
yeah,
Very
that,
cool.
that that would be fun. I've often wanted to do cartoon characters too. I think that would be fun to be in a cartoon.
Mhm.
But
I
enough
did
enough with my bucket list.
I did a Garfield cartoon a few years back called The Horror Hostess, and the part was written for me, and I was Vivacia. So that's something I'm good at, being a horror hostess.
Very cool. Well, I know that you're pressed for time also. So is there anything else you want to let people know where we can expect to see you next, or what you got coming up you want to let them know about?
No, I sure hope that people will come to the shows like Cinema Wasteland and Six
Mhm.
Feet Under in Colorado Springs, FrankenCon in Knoxville, Tennessee. Different shows. Just I love meeting my fans and seeing people. Any of the film festivals I'm doing, please come.
Yeah, everybody that I've ever met, I've always told them about, if you can get Brink in anything, please do. She's just wonderful having her on set. You're one of the nicest, sweetest people I've ever met. My mom says hello from that time you guys came down and we had that home cooked meal. It's like you were just such a delight. I mean, she remembers you fondly.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, the reason people like to work with me is because I really let them do whatever they want. I don't protest or complain. And I did a movie up in Oregon where I'm set upon by these cultists and I'm stabbed multiple times. And there's somebody with a bucket of blood that's kind of flicking blood on me and stuff. And it was really cold outside. It was freezing. It was winter.
Yeah.
And the movie's called Cross Hollow. And finally, they just like dumped the bucket of blood on me. And then they're like, okay, that's a take, moving on. And I'm laying there, we're outdoors. They've chased me through the woods. I'm covered in blood. And I'm like, guys,
Oh my God.
what do I do now? Like, is there a shower? Is there a robe? Is there something? And it was just horrible. So
Mm.
there ended up being it was a horse property and they had a shower kind of separate from the house. So I ended up just, dropping my bloody clothes as I went and asking someone to bring me a robe. And I took a shower out by the horse corral.
Oh my God.
And it had to have been like 30 degrees.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So,
Those indie horror accommodations.
yeah. Yeah. I try not to do anything dangerous, but
No.
short of hypothermia, I'm a good sport.
Well,
Well,
you got to take the good with the bad, I guess, or the bad with the
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, and it's the nature of the industry. These are horror
Sure.
films, and a lot of them are action films in a way. You're running and screaming and dealing with weapons and stuff like that. So it goes with the territory. It's not a romantic comedy.
right,
Right.
exactly.
So the next con you're going to be at is when? Can you throw us out the dates in the city for
Yeah.
anybody that may be
um,
listening in that area?
Cinema Wasteland, April of 5 through 7,
Okay.
and it's in Strongsville, Ohio. I believe it's near Cleveland, and I'll be there
That's
with Michelle Bauer, Fred Olen Ray, Jim Wynorski.
that's your neck of the woods, Otis, isn't it?
That's a little bit north of me. Yeah, I'm down in the Dayton area.
Hmm.
But it's only about 3 hours. Okay. You got me thinking now, Brink. I may have to take a trip up there and say hi in person.
You might, yes, maybe do some interviews with the gang.
I
That would be
I
awesome.
would absolutely love that. Well, we don't want to keep you. I know you have other engagements that you have to tend to. You got to save the voice as you told us. So we don't want to be responsible for messing anything up with your voice.
That's why I won't scream anymore. People at conventions would always say, "Oh, scream, scream," you know, and I used to do it. But because I work so much with my voice and I do so much voiceover work, I can't afford to scream. You know,
Right.
you blow out your vocal cords. So I don't scream anymore. Although I'm a scream queen, honorary.
Legendary.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate today, you guys. Thank you so much. And thank anybody who tuned in and watching. I really appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
thank you, and I hope to see you here soon, maybe at a convention here in Ohio. Thank you for your time, and hope to talk soon, dear.
Thank you, Otis. Thank you, Rick.
Take care, sweetheart. Bye-bye now.
dear. Oh,
Yeah.
boy, that was a little nerve-wracking. You know,
Oh, yeah?
I told her when she first popped on, I was like, okay, this is kind of weird seeing this face. I've watched in documentaries, I've seen in movies. This is kind of strange to sit here. You're actually talking to me. It was cool. Yeah, I was fangirling, I guess, a little bit. Okay.
Nothing wrong with it. I mean, I was the first time I met her. I met her with my first film, Web of Darkness, when her and Tom Savini came down and did that, and I got to meet her. But the thing is that once you meet her in person, she just drops all those, you know, I don't know, the nervousness and stuff that you have, because she's just so down to earth, and she's just so sweet, and you just automatically fall in love with her. And then once you do that, I mean, I've tried to work with her as often as I could. I brought her back for my Nightmare Collection 2. I met up with her at a couple conventions down here, and she even did some audio work on some of my No Sleep Tonight horror radio shows. So I've kept a good relationship with her because she is an absolute amazing person, and I just love having her involved in anything I can get.
That's awesome. So
Yes.
the show is not over.
No, it is not.
Now, I do see Brink back there. Maybe she's still backstage. She's sitting there. She's watching. She's
All right.
oh, she's waving by now. Yes, we are going to do our own little recap. You had put together a little video of how it went down. It was such an amazing weekend. I was a little starstruck at some of the people that I was, you know, able to meet in person. It was kind of cool. And this video, I think, just one of many. The two ladies in the beginning of your video kind of made your weekend too, didn't it?
Yeah, they did. I mean, we met, like you said, it's really hard to even kind of put it all into perspective. I was really hoping that it was going to be a good, fun weekend, and we were going to help put Indie Horror Junkie on the map. But I think that what we ended up going through and seeing and everything blew my mind. I think what got me, like I was telling you and Amy, what got me the most was the amount of people that came up to us that said they've read the magazine online and they've been watching the podcast. They just wanted to come and say hello that I never knew. And so the fan base is there. And I think we really got something special going on. Everybody was so appreciative of us shining a light on the indie horror scene as opposed to the doing the mainstream scene. So that really got me in the feels right there. So I think that and meeting you and having all the junkies together for the first time, I mean, it was just a magical weekend. And I tried to put a lot of that in this little video here just to kind of put it out there. And yeah, and then of course, like you said, the two ladies at the beginning that I won't ruin just yet, but we'll talk about it after we show. Our Asylum Amy actually sought them out, found them. They loved the product, and they did a little video for her there. And then what was it, on Sunday? They came and sought us out. Yeah. So we got some nice pictures and stuff there that you'll see at the very end of the video.
So check this out. It's a little Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival MegaCon 2024 recap.
Hi, I'm Jen Soska. And I'm Sylvia Soska. And we're the Soska Sisters. And this is Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie.
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 We're a panic attack.
And this is Indie horror junkie.
Indie horror junkies.
Indie horror junkie. Indie horror junkie.
Oh my god. The reason I laugh a little bit like that because Ricky here. He was you were just in heaven. You when the Saska sisters came over and I didn't even know what was going on. I was just off to the side a little bit. And I see him. Then I realized who they were when they were leaving. And I waved, and the one came over, gave me a big hug, and then took off. And then the other one came over and gave me a hug. And I gave because there's that there's only a certain amount of time before the hug becomes creepy. You know what I mean? It's like you give a hug. Okay, 1, 2, 3, done. I did that. She held on. Okay, I'm back for seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful ladies. I used to watch their show Elevator. If you haven't seen it, I think you can stream it. Can't remember the streaming service offhand, but wow, what a great time, man. What a great time.
Yeah, they are just the sweetest girls. They're so talented, and I love them because they're absolute rebels. I mean, they go against the system, and they do things their way. Their love of horror and the gore factor, but the fact that they, are persistent, the fact that they are so talented, and still maintain that humanity, where they were going around and seeing people and hugging people and offering to sign things for free. I mean, they're just amazing people. So, like I said, when Amy saw them, she had a great conversation with them, and then for them to find their way all the way from the other side of that giant convention center to come to the Indie Horror Junkie booth. And it was weird too, because I was inside watching movies with a great crowd. And for some reason I said, let me go man the table for a moment. And when I came out, it's like within less than a minute, boom, there they were. They got the hugs and the pictures and everything else. And it was just like, it was meant to be for me to be there to meet my ladies. And I'm so happy I did.
That's awesome. I mean, and we had during the film festival, there was times where people had to be turned away. We had a packed house.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the thing with
a packed house.
And that's the thing with these film festivals when you've got, it's not just a standalone film festival, it's part of the MegaCon convention, and there's so many things going on at MegaCon, so many fans, vendors, events, everything else. You're just like one cog in this giant wheel. So sometimes you go in that room and there's like nobody in there, and then other times you go in there and every seat's filled and people are lined up against the wall. We didn't have that problem this week. We had people in that theater the whole time. It was at least half full, if not more than that, almost the entire time. But then like for the panel and stuff like that, we had a packed house to where we had a line of people outside that the MegaCon security guy had to turn away because of a fire hazard. We couldn't bring him in. So that just goes to show you that, everybody was really excited about it. And the other thing too, is that even though the theater was still packed most of the time, we always had a great crowd right there at the table. So I enjoyed meeting people, signing autographs, selling merch, and just, getting to know all these horror fans that are out there that I never got a chance to meet. And then, Molly Zombie right there. Yeah, he was out there. And you got a chance to hold one of the...
I did. It was PD. PD.
Oh, yeah?
I got to walk around with Jose and Molly. And
they're attention getters, aren't they?
I tell you what, I wasn't prepared for, the little bit of crowd. You couldn't walk but 5 feet. And somebody's like, can I take a picture? Can I take a picture? Yep. And that's all thanks to, God, I was going to give him a little promo.
Jose? VFX? VFX
Yeah.
Creates.
Yes, VFX creates. That I'm getting a doll. Mrs. Dreads
Yeah.
is convinced that she's getting a puppet,
Oh
and
yeah.
so yeah, it
Take him
was
to the mall with
awesome.
you.
Huh?
Take him to the mall with you when you go.
Absolutely. I don't even go to the mall. I'm not a mall person anymore. The older I get, the further I stay away from the malls. But if I got a PD strapped up to me, don't think I won't hit the mall just for shits and giggles.
Absolutely,
It was
absolutely.
awesome. Yeah, so man, the next year is gonna be awesome. Uh,
Yes.
I mean, already thinking about next year because they're I think they're gonna expand the horror part of it a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, that's our plan. We're going to meet. Usually, what happens is after the event is done, my contact there likes to like decompress for a couple of weeks, which I don't
Mhm.
blame him at all. So I
Right.
already told him that we're definitely going to be reaching out to him after his decompression period because we're putting together a game plan to kind of put together our own little horror community there and really expand the horror aspect. So we've got kind of like a little pitch deck that Amy and I are putting together with our
Mhm.
ideas and some of the things that we'd like to do and really take it to the next level. So we're going to be pitching that to him hopefully in the next week or so. And I know the dates are already up. I think the first day is February 6th of 2025. So it's probably February 6th through February 10th, I'm assuming, because it's usually a 4-day event.
Right.
So the dates are already up and we're still on the website, so I have no idea, but we're going to find out with him, see what his thoughts are. This was also the first year because I've been with them for like 6 years now. This is the first time with Indie Horror Junkie. I did the Halloween Horror Picture Show there before. And normally they had us on like the second or third floor, which still gets pretty good crowds because there are people wandering all over the place. But they had us on the main show floor.
Mhm.
So there were mobs of people everywhere. And like I said, just the amount of people that came over to us to say hi, see what we had going on, and said they listened to the show and bought magazines and everything, really touched my heart. I could not believe the community that we had, and that just gets me even hungrier to bring them more.
No, absolutely. Location, location, location. And we had a good location
Great
there.
location.
There was especially Saturday, the busiest day of the weekend for us anyway.
Absolutely.
It was awesome. There was a constant flow of people going right past the table, and I got quite a few of them to stop. I guess next in line for the Indie Horror Junkie brand would be Florida HorrorCon.
We're putting some stuff together. We're going to be having an announcement here very soon. We're looking at joining forces with a couple things. Basically, it's just been a constant flow with this thing because this is a new venture for us. So we're trying to do what's going to be the best for the brand and for the area. So we're working on it right now, and we're hoping to have an announcement hopefully in the next couple of weeks for
Nice.
everybody, and we'll see what happens. But I would say that next coming up for us is probably going to be the next issue of the magazine, which is set
issue
for
of the
March
magazine,
13th.
13th, yeah.
Yeah, now that I'm back, I've been compiling all the notes, all the articles, and getting everything together. On the cover, we have Peter Anthony's new film, which is called Laugh, which I'm really excited to see. And talking to him and talking about that film, it seems like it's really going to be an exciting project for him. So we actually have him on the cover. So you'll be seeing a cover article as well, talking all about that. And then we have several other projects, including the wrap up of the Indie Horror Junkie Film Fest, which we had the Best of the Fest award winners. The short film was Panic Attack Blood Pub, which was a great little short film addressing PTSD in a very fun and horrific way. And then for the feature film, we had Purgatory Jack, which was such a cool movie. And the coolest thing about it,
loved it.
I did too. It was a great movie, so definitely look out for it when it comes out. But the lead actor for that film, Tim Rosen, was actually in attendance. He hung out at the table, signed autographs, took pictures. He went inside, accepted the award, and he was just a great, great guy. And he lives here in Florida, as a matter of fact. So hopefully we'll be working with him again real soon.
Awesome. Yeah, it was Cosmic Wave Films for the Panic Attack Blood Pub.
Yep.
That That's another great little short, and I'm really excited to see what they come up with, because I believe they're coming up with a feature of the whole panic attack
Nice.
things. I believe that's how I understood it. But anyway, they got some big things coming. Very nice, very awesome people. Angela, Nick, really cool people. They were pretty stoked that they got the Best of the Fest Shorts Award, and of course, as you mentioned, Purgatory Jack, I got to announce that. And boy, I wish somebody was standing behind me taking a picture of Tim's face. It was he was genuinely surprised, and I think he thought he was just there, to meet and greet with the fans and intro the movie that he was in, completely unaware that he was going to be taking home the coveted feature Indie Horror Junkie Best of the Fest feature movie award.
Yeah, we tried to keep it a secret and didn't want to tell anybody. We wanted it to be a surprise to everybody. So he was very, very surprised, and so was Cosmic Wave Films. I mean, but that's the beauty of it. It's almost like watching your kids open up presents at Christmas. It was so
really
nice to see the reactions.
Yeah. So it was such a great time. I can't wait for the next Indie Horror Junkie Film Fest. We'll see what happens with some Florida Horror Con news maybe in the upcoming weeks. You guys, if you're not over there on our YouTube, shame on you, for one. And two, I'll give you a break this time. Head on over there. I know there's some of you watching on our YouTube channel right now. Make sure you pass that link around. Tell people, hey, do you know where your indie horror is? And if they say what, then you already know. Give them the link. Give them the link. Absolutely. They don't know where their indie horror is at. Send them this way.
That's right. IndieHorrorJunkie.com will lead you everywhere.
All roads lead to IndieHorrorJunkie.com.
And you, Otis, you got to moderate a really cool horror effects panel, didn't you?
I did. It was awesome. I had Barry Anderson.
Barry S. Anderson.
Yeah. And Wendy.
Carl Huber and Wendy Feliciano.
Yeah. Kevin.
Yep. Right. Making over from the Inn. Yeah. And then you had a lot of the Inn cast and crew there as well.
It was a great time. That was fun. I can't say enough, man. I mean, I was a little, starstruck. And yeah, these aren't like A-list names, but these are some of the best people that you're going to run into, in the business. So kind, so down to earth, just as you've seen with our guest tonight, Brink. I mean,
I was going to mention that. I was going to mention that in the interview with Brink. I really think what it is that the horror genre is like a family. It really is. That's why the 80s horror movies are still, relevant, like you said today, and people remember all that stuff. And like she said about having the young kids who weren't even born then laughing at the right times and seeing that. I think that's because that horror community is so, tightly knit and such a family. I mean, we experienced that last weekend, and that's why I think I love it so much, because everybody just rallies around the horror genre, and especially with the indie horror genre. I think it's because, like I call them, the blue collar filmmakers, the ones that work 9 to 5 and film on the weekends and in the evenings, because it's their passion. It's not their job. A lot of times they're not getting paid for that stuff. They do it for the love of indie horror, for the love of filmmaking, and that's a beautiful thing. I love it and support it. I do it myself.
Yeah, and there's you get these big studio, productions, and it's more like, okay, well, I want my money, and it's this and that. This indie community, which is, one of the reasons why we have a lot of the guests that we have on, filmmakers, actors from all aspects of filmmaking, because we know that if not on every show, there's going to be a few shows where there's going to be an aspiring filmmaker. There's going to be someone who wants to get into acting. There's going to be someone who wants to get into special effects. Yep. And this community they'll help you. They'll give you pointers like, hey, if you need me, just hit me up. I'll help you in any way I can. If you have questions about this or questions about that, it's it's so the people in this community are so quick to lend a helping hand, and that's what I really love about it. It is a very tight knit community, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of that community, and specifically Indie Horror Junkie, because this brand is going places. This is going to be for years to come the home of indie horror. It's your
Absolutely.
one-stop shop. I mean, what a great time to be alive.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean that's one of the things that I probably will have the biggest takeaway for me from this past weekend was the amount of people that came up to us either at our table or in the panel room or anything like that that told us how much they appreciated us shining a spotlight on the independent horror scene, because they're not getting the run that everybody else gets. They're not getting the attention. There really is no source for them to be able to get the word out except for them marketing themselves on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is. And we allow them that platform to show people out there that, hey, look what's going on over here, And I think that people really appreciate that. And I love nothing more than to shine a spotlight on the many, many, many talented people out there all over the world.
Absolutely. And that's why we mention every week the email, because any filmmakers out there, if you got a project, if you're an artist, we've had, Austin, comic books and authors and anything as long. I mean, there's one catch, has to be horror, right?
And it has to be indie.
And it has to be indie. But it can be any aspect of art that you are into. If it's indie and it's horror related, we want to talk to you. We'll help you out. This whole community has such great connections. You just got to get out there and network. And sooner or later, you're going to come across us. If you're networking in the indie community, you're going to end up back here anyway.
That's right.
You might as well just cut out all the legwork and come right here.
That's right. We're going to be everywhere. We're putting our brand out there, whether it be the magazine, whether it be the podcast, whether it be the film festival. And also we're going to be having original films coming up soon that we'll talk more about probably in the next episode. But that's the thing, is that we're trying to spread our tentacles, so to speak, everywhere. So if you haven't heard of us yet, you will.
Oh, you will. That's for sure. And the next immediate time that you'll hear from us is next week, Valentine's Day.
Oh boy, I can't wait for this one.
Oh boy is right. This Valentine's Day, a very special Valentine's Day, the Bloody Bridget's Valentine's Day episode with the one and only brother of Danny Elfman, Richard Elfman, and his wife, Anastasia Elfman, both actor, actress, director. Yes, Danny Elfman's brother, Richard Elfman, is going to be joining us for a Valentine's Day show. That's that. Boy, I thought I was nervous on this one.
That should be a lot of fun. They seem like they're going to be really fun people. They submitted their film, Bloody Bridget, to our film festival. It was accepted. It was one of the finalists for the award. Unfortunately, we couldn't screen it at MegaCon because MegaCon is more of a family event, and they had some, adult themes in that film. But I enjoyed the hell out of it, so I can't wait to talk to them about it.
I did too. So we got that coming up next week. Again, Richard Elfman, his wife, Anastasia Elfman. We're going to be talking Bloody Bridget. We're going to be talking all kinds of stuff. That's going to be a big one. These shows are just getting bigger and bigger. So again, if you're not, subscribed to the YouTube channel, you getting notified, all that, following us, you're making a big mistake. I'm just putting it out there. You're making a great.
Put them on notice, Otis.
I am. I'm putting you on notice. You get over there, or I'm releasing the hounds.
Oof.
All right. With that, we great show, Rick. I hope you guys in the chat enjoyed it. It will be this show, as all shows are going to be directly up on our YouTube link or YouTube channel. Spread it far and wide. Get over there, subscribe. You know, as they say in the biz.
We'll see you next Wednesday.